Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I am your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very accomplished professional from Bangalore, India, Suhasini Gopalakrishnan. Suhasini, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ashutosh, for inviting me.
Thank you. Suhasini is the founder of DCODE Inspired Living. She's a life mastery coach and she's an expert in leadership transformation. So, Suhasini, before we talk about all the work that you're doing, tell me about your own journey in brief and what influenced your interest in transformational coaching.
Okay. So I am probably the every second person that you see on the road. Very humble background, the regular.
We all are.
Probably, 10 to 10 office goer, because generally we have 12 hour workings. So it's generally the 10 to 10 kind of an office goer. But I think there's just one thing that made me very different from every other person out there. I was crazily curious. I was very curious as to why a Ashutosh is different from a Suhasini. Why all the people out there, what makes them different? Of course, the answer will come, it's the brain. But then we can't keep carrying an MRI scanner with us like all the time, right? To just understand why is your brain different, why is my brain different. I'm a neuroscience geek, add on to that. But then it really didn't help me. So, and that's what led me to a transformational coaching, because when I try to understand the brain, it's all about, imagine like something like concentric circles. At its very core, you have your beliefs and values. Like Ashutosh truly believes that when he's talking to so many accomplished professionals across the globe and getting the leadership lessons from them, getting the experience insights from them, getting the wisdom, he's making the world a better place. Now, that's a core belief with which the brand called you, Ashutosh, is operating.
Correct.
Now, that's right at the center. Now, the thing is, in transformational coaching, I can't directly jump to the center because there are layers of concentric circles around that. So what are those concentric circles that one has to navigate? It's like a GPS journey, which you have to go inside, and it's like a maze. So very first thing, the most gross part, which is the physical, the total amount of energy that's available to a certain person. Next comes emotion, which is the quality of energy which you get by your presence. The third is your thoughts, which is basically the focus of your energy. And the last is nothing but energy, which is the vibe that I'm placing on the table right now. Like, for example, I can just drain out Ashutosh during the conversation, or Ashutosh can get boosted from my energy in the conversation.
Well said.
So these are the four parts. Now, when I navigate these four parts and move towards the innermost core, this forms your operating system. So transformational coaching is for modifying your operating system. So it's not surface level problem solving. It's not action, strategy, cut, review, step one, step two. It's not that. You've got to navigate, really have deep conversations to understand what really is making you as a person.
Wow.
Now, why did I get excited by this? Because a few years back, I was hit by a personal crisis. And I really had to alter the way I think, the way I approach the world, my beliefs, my core values. And I couldn't do it all alone. I had to take the help of someone in this process, another transformational coach. And with that, I realized the power of this. It can really transform you from like huge potential. And in that, I realized this was my ultimate calling, because either which ways, as my career, I was in the space of learning and development, which is basically my job for a living. I used to evolve myself, develop other people, and evolve other people.
Wonderful.
Now, this came as a natural alignment to what I'm doing. I just with DCODE Inspired Living, I just tagged it along with transformational coaching. So that's something that I deeply love. Just deep human conversations.
Very nice.
It makes me
fantastic. So since you mentioned DCODE Inspired Living, and it's on the banner behind you as well, tell me a little bit more about DCODE Inspired Living, and then I'll come back to coaching.
Okay. So DCODE Inspired Living is sacred. I mean, it's a sacred venture for us. What we aim to do with that is we aim to ignite passion within each individual to reach their highest self. So we are not just talking about, okay, let's make a better you. We don't want a better you. The world needs much more. So we want you to be excited about reaching your highest self. And it's not a definitive point. You're saying, acha, from point A, Suhasini will move to point B, which is the highest point of Suhasini. That doesn't exist something like that. So it's always a journey. You go higher, you see what you're capable of doing, and then you move even more higher. So that's what we aim to do. But at the same time, we also believe in the power of leadership, because literally the whole world is driven by ecosystems of organizations and the impact that they create in the world. So we want also individuals to recognize their potential as leaders and strive to be their highest point of leadership as well.
Right.
So just like how you believe that, you make a world a better place, I am striving to create a more nurturing world.
Wonderful.
Something which is more empowering, something, because everybody is interconnected, right? Like, I am not working in isolation. Ashutosh is not working in isolation. Everybody is interconnected. I have an impact on you. You have an impact on me. Maybe we haven't even met. But I see your videos on YouTube, I hear your podcast, and I get influenced by how you are thinking. So it's this amalgamation that DCODE Inspired Living strives for.
Amazing. Thank you so much for talking about DCODE. So let's come back now to transformational coaching, Suhasini. When I was preparing to read about, to talk to you, I was fascinated with transformational coaching. And then as I was reading it, I also saw a term called deep transformational methods. You've told me a little bit about what transformational coaching is. Tell me a little more about deep transformational methods.
Okay. So a tangible ways, because literally I don't want to make it sound very gassy, because then everybody will say this is voodoo and this is not something that I can practice. It's very hardcore. It's got tangible methods. So the first one, exploration of core values. Like, for example, for me, authenticity, compassion, and commitment towards my vision is non-negotiable.
Right.
So I generally even work with people who demonstrate or bring these qualities or bring these values to the table.
Right.
Now that's the first one. Second is what beliefs I carry about myself. Now, in your case, it's a very empowering belief, because you believe that when you get all these people together with their knowledge, experience, wisdom, and leadership lessons, you're making the world a better place. Not many people are blessed to have these kind of empowering beliefs. They have many limiting beliefs. All of us have limiting beliefs, which really is like our personal gravity. Imagine like as if your leg is tied with a chain, with a big rock to the ground, which doesn't allow you to fly, which doesn't allow you to explore your limits.
Right.
So, second is basically exploring your beliefs. The third is nothing but making you more emotionally intelligent. There is a method to the madness. It's not just chaotic. The world, yes, it's chaotic, but there is a method. You understand your emotions. You learn to manage them. You learn to process them in a way that makes you more capable of handling the situation in front of you. That's, for me, that's simple emotional intelligence. Nothing more, nothing less.
Amazing. Well
and
said.
Last is mindset. If I'm coming with a fixed mindset, saying this is who I am, this is my personality, I cannot change it. That's like a total fixed mindset.
Right.
Now, when you just add one word to it, saying I have not done this yet, then it becomes a growth mindset.
Correct.
So it's just the movement from point A to point B, which is liberating. I mean, the least to say, it's very liberating. So these are some 4-5 methods which we actually explore in deep transformational coaching. It's a process, it's a journey by itself, but it's rewarding.
Fascinating. And my next question is, what, in all the work that you do, what are some of the biggest challenges you face when you address some of your coachees, for transformation?
Actually, in this kind of coaching, people reach out to you very late. Okay. Maybe it's just the nature of transformation by itself. Like, for example, when a worm is becoming a butterfly, literally it has to go to the very process of the depth of a work, and then it can become the butterfly.
Right.
So likewise in transformation, unless people really hit the bottom, that's when they become ready to spring up. Now, call it a challenge or just call it the law of nature of transformation. I don't know what else to call it, because that's when people get ready to reach out for help. It's got pros and cons. Literally, how it's like, how deep do you want to go into the dark tunnel, and then if someone has to lift you up from there, it's going to take that much more time. But I see this as a challenge, not just in transformational coaching, but in the overall space of coaching by itself. Like, for example, we also do leadership development. Now, leadership development is very simple. The organization gets in touch with a partner, they run the charters, they get it executed. It's very simple. But how many organizations are open for coaching? Plain, pure, executive coaching. So there is a whole mindset that is getting built right now as a journey in India, because otherwise in other parts of the globe, I think coaching is picking up a lot more, but in India it still has its own pace of getting accepted as a modality of development or nurturing or whatever you call it.
Correct.
So it's the pace, and all of us, whatever we are doing, what we're striving to do right here is spreading the word, spreading a message to the world outside, saying that this is a very powerful form of developing yourself, transforming yourself. So grab it.
Very well said. Very well said. Thank you. So another aspect that I wanted to explore with you, Suhasini, was that when does an individual recognize that they need transformation?
So when they keep going in loops, right? So, for example, there is a trigger, they go in a downward spiral, and then again, they have to really manage to come up.
Can you, for my audience, give an example without any names, of course?
Sure. So, for example, there are instances where a person always felt that, he always gets bad bosses. So, irrespective of whether the boss is really bad or not, he always had this limiting belief about himself that, yes, I'm always faced with bad bosses. So, even before a trust is established with the person, with the boss, literally, because of this limiting belief or because of this personal story or narrative that he has been telling himself, he always feels that he shares a bad relationship with the boss, because it's always reciprocal, right? Trust is always reciprocal. And then always you keep going down, saying that the boss is not appreciating me, the boss is not rewarding me. Whereas the problem lies within. It's the rewiring of the brain which you need to get out of your story, that in your life, you are meant to get good bosses at will. It's just the way you look at the person. It's just the way you perceive the situation. That's about it.
Yeah.
So, in fact, different people look at situations differently, right? I might look at it saying that, oh, this is so empowering. The other person might look at, oh, this is so depressing.
I agree.
I agree. To see the world.
Absolutely. Great response. Thank you. My next question is that how does your empathetic approach shape the way you connect with other individuals?
So I think I have a gift. I can't call it that, I did something to get this within myself. I think by nature, I'm compassionate. So this becomes a huge plus. Maybe this was the reason for my calling. I don't know about that. But the thing is, I truly believe that there is a, let's call it the Z factor. Let's call it. So within Ashutosh, there is a Z factor. Within Suhasini, there is a Z factor. But that Z factor is camouflaged by thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and core values. Now, the Z factor has huge potential for transformative power. It's like a sun's core. The sun's core has got so much energy within itself, but it's always surrounded by the lighter parts of the sun. Likewise, we are always surrounded, that Z factor is surrounded by different thoughts, emotions, which actually don't allow this transformative power to emerge or allow it to surface. So I think what I do is, I am a fan. I'm a fan of this transformative power because I have unwavering faith on this transformative power within individuals. And all my work, what I try to do is get the individuals to realize of this power within themselves by encouraging them to get on a journey of self-exploration. And it's a difficult journey. So all I do is keep encouraging them, keep rooting for them. If there is a word called rooter, it's ROOTER, then that's me. I just love to root for people's success.
Very well said. Thank you. Thank you. The other question that I often ask a lot of Indian coaches is, how do you address the cultural diversity in coaching? Because one thing I've always noticed with people in India is that we all say, let my work do the talking. And in America, for example, everyone says, I did this, I did this, I did this.
Yeah.
You know, culturally, Indians don't like to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
What kind of transformation do you look or do you suggest for people when it comes to culturally diverse individuals?
Maybe because of the way I am designed and built, for me, it's not just about the cultural uniqueness. It's about the individual uniqueness.
Right.
So for me, it's not cultural diversity. It's individual diversity. So it helps me in my work that I don't put labels, that I don't see a person as an Indian, or I don't see a person coming from a certain geography, because the moment I put a certain label, then there is a tendency to become judgmental or have some preconceived notion. I can't stop myself too, right? I'm a human too. So it helps me if I don't put that label. Just consider that all of the people out here, every single person out there is unique. Every single person out there is diverse. And all I have to do is recognize that diversity and get one with it. So how I operate is that if Ashutosh is a non-Indian and he's coming from some other part of the globe, however you are, I will become like you. And that I'm able to do it because of an empathetic approach, inclusive approach, oneness. So it just helps me to just being one with you, irrespective of however diverse you are.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you. So now I'm going to move to another set of questions. You also do a lot of work in leadership. How do you define, Suhasini, conscious leadership, and why is it important today?
So I'll tell you how I coined this word, conscious leadership. I've been blessed to have worked with many leaders who are extremely authentic. And I see some things that are distinctly different in them vis-a-vis the other leaders that I have worked with. I've seen that they not just lead consciously, they live consciously.
Right.
So it's not just about how you are behaving within that 9 to 6. It's also about who you are being after 6 o'clock. So that became the foundation of conscious leadership for me, wherein I said that you should be someone who is living and leading consciously as a whole, not just that professionally I'm like this, personally I'm like this. For me, there is no differentiation. It's one life, it's one human.
Okay.
So that's one. Second is someone with a very open mind. I call myself a scientist because I believe that you have to be extremely curious to explore different beings, different methods, whatever is working, whatever is not working, and do it with an open mind. Absolutely open mind, coming from the point that I don't know anything. When I come from that point saying that I don't know anything, then I'm one step closer towards being a conscious leader, because then I will listen to people, I'll do deep listening, not just hearing and letting it out. I will listen to you with authentically. I mean, what makes you feel that I'm present right here with you.
Right.
Third way in which I define a conscious leader is, what are you intentional about? Like, if you're intentional about creating a certain impact in your life, in your job, in your career, or in the society, or in the world outside, you've got to be intentional about something. Then I can tag along commitment behind that vision. and then I can move around in the world. Then all my small steps are tied to the bigger picture of who I want to be and what I want to do in order to accomplish or reach that vision at some stage. So that's conscious leadership for me.
Great response.
Consciously, be a scientist, be a completely open mind, and third is be intentional about whatever impact you want to create and who you want to be.
Very interesting. So I have time for two more questions for you. My next question is that what makes an authentic leader, and how can one develop these qualities?
So I have 4 steps. Everything is framework. Okay, so literally, I think in my past experience of working in companies,
I love that, because I also have everything in points.
Yeah, points serves it best actually. So, the first thing to be an authentic leader is to understand yourself, know your core values, know your purpose, know your reason for existence, basically. And this generally is a midlife crisis question. Why am I doing what am I doing? That comes at like 40s.
Yeah.
So that's your knowing your core values, knowing your purpose. Next is what is the highest point of your self leadership? I mean, before you try and reach out to the whole world, you need to know how I need to be. Like, for example, how I can manage my emotions best. What's the mindset that I need to carry at this point in time? My highest point of self leadership. Then comes my highest point of leading others, because I always use a word. There is a common word like HR. And for me, that highest point of leading others is when you make the shift from HR to HP, human resource to human potential. People are not resources to get work done for you. They are not born for that.
Correct.
It's your job as a leader to see what their aspirations are and how you need to develop them to do better in life. So as a byproduct, you achieve your goal, your larger goal, your business goal, whatever. The last fourth is, if you have a business that you are running, then the core fundamental businesses exist to serve humanity and not vice versa. Humanity is not there to serve your business.
Right.
You are here to serve humanity. When you look at that, when you look at the world with that view, then you earn people's respect. And with that, you become a more a richer person, if I may put it that way. So 4 steps. Know your core values, purpose, highest point of self-leadership, highest point of leading others, and the highest point of leading businesses, which means servant leadership. Just be there to serve.
Very well said. And my last question to you, given all the work that you are doing, where do you see the field of transformational coaching heading in the next few years?
I think thanks to COVID, I mean, I don't know if I should be saying thanks to COVID, but I think the pandemic really stirred up a lot of these underlying emotions which were never brought to the surface earlier.
Yeah.
So now people are asking those why questions even at the age of 25. Earlier, probably they used to ask at the age of 50 or 40. But now, a 25-year-old, I'm coaching few people who are asking me, what am I doing in this world? I mean, wow. I mean, you just started your life and you're asking this question means it's a huge introspection.
Right.
So with this, where the world is headed to, and now I also see a movement for compassionate leadership, servant leadership. I call it a movement because it's not just a trend. I don't see this like a trend. It's a movement. The movement is picking up across the globe. We have more and more people talking about it. It's not just the DEI journey or the diversity inclusion journey is just doing a lip service across many companies. So some companies are really serious about it. So I think people are getting more and more curious to understand what's the value they bring to the world, what's the value they can add to their own life, and what's the meaning that they want to attach to their own life. People are asking those kind of questions now at a much more younger age. So I think it's here to stay. It's absolutely here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It's not a fad. It's not a trend. It will be here. And I think the coaches who are doing this sort of work are just serving humanity. I mean,
very good. Very nice. Suhasini, on that note, and your amazing discussion about transformational coaching, about DCODE, about conscious leadership. I love the 4 points for the authentic leader. And I just love the way you redefined human resources to human potential. Thank you so much for speaking to me about your own journey and about transformational coaching in so much detail. I learned many new things from you. Thank you again, and good luck to you.
Absolute delight to be here. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share this message with the whole world once again. And I'm indebted for getting this opportunity.
No, thank you so much. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.